I have what is perhaps an unpopular opinion in that when remakes of popular games are made, they should be different. They should strive to make changes to separate it from the original, because in an era of remakes and remasters aplenty, if we continue to release the same game with no changes, what was the point of it being a remake? A remaster, as you know, often takes the game that you know and love and updates the resolution, the frames, sometimes makes a couple different tweaks to something like lighting or shadows, and in extreme cases like Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary even gave an entire graphics overlay to the original game but didn't touch anything else other than that. So here we are faced with yet another remake. We've had Resident Evil 4 and Silent Hill 2 and many others over the years, but it's finally time that the classic of Halo Combat Evolved is getting a full remake. And I'm excited for a lot of the changes. The things that are bothering most aren't really bothering me, and it's not necessarily because I'm right in some way that they're not, or I have some better understanding. It's just simply that I am so content with the original Combat Evolved that I do not mind what they're changing for remake. Having sprint, aim down sights, changing how many rounds are in the assault rifle. Of course, there's things that I would like to change, and I have mentioned them before, but ultimately they're not enough to make me be upset with the remake project, because I understand that the remake project is supposed to be doing something different, standing alongside the original and offering a new, fresh experience for those who have played the original before and those who have never played the game before. So, putting aside all of our gripes with little details or big details that the remake has changed, I do want to fixate on something that I find to be very, very important. The reason that I'm so okay with the Halo Combat Evolved remake being something different in a myriad of ways from the original is because we have the original accessible. We have the preservation of the original game, whether it be through MCC on PC or MCC on Xbox. But I began to think about this more and more in the current landscape that we are in with gaming and the next generation consoles and what Microsoft's doing with the Xbox. And I started to be a little more concerned than I originally was, because it's clear that the point of this project is to not only introduce the PlayStation audience to Halo, but to reintroduce the series to everyone, whether you're on PlayStation, PC, Xbox, what have you, Switch maybe one day. And they want to move forward from this with, assumedly, Halo 2 remake, Halo 3 remake, who knows what. And this is where my issue really starts to crop up. As you know, Xbox has been changing their direction off and on for several years now, whether it's focusing on exclusives, making things go third party. They're going to have a console, they're not going to have a console. Their console's going to be a hybrid PC. They have the ROG Ally handheld, and it's clear that the next generation of Xbox is not going to be directly competing with PlayStation. It's going to be a much more expensive console, more like a PC, and the primary, top of the line console gaming audience is going to be on PlayStation. So this is where the problem arises. If you have PlayStation being the primary console going forward, and you have many gamers, both young and old but new to the series, experiencing Halo only as Campaign Evolved, only as the remake, and potential remakes of Halo 2 and 3, and you don't have the Master Chief Collection or any version of the originals accessible on the PlayStation, you run the risk of people playing Halo for years or decades, potentially, and becoming huge fans of the series and never having experienced the original games as they were intended from Bungie. Because if the Master Chief Collection remains a Xbox Series X/PC thing only, and it is not updated or brought forward in any way, and it's never brought to PlayStation, you're going to have potentially 100 million plus player base audience on the PlayStation consoles that are only ever going to know Halo as Halo Campaign Evolved remake and potentially 2 and 3 remake, and they're not going to have access to the originals. And I think that's where you start to make a really, really good argument for Campaign Evolved being different from the original. If this is going to be the only way that PlayStation players and Switch potentially or other consoles in the future are able to experience these classics, then it's not acceptable to have a Campaign Evolved experience where you have sprint and the weapons are changed and you can't drive out into the water and this geometry for this level is different. Like, all those things that I'm so open-minded to become unacceptable when your player base is not able to experience the original. Because if Xbox goes down the route that it's going, I kind of don't see there being much console preservation for the Master Chief Collection. Most people aren't going to be on the next Xbox PC hybrid, and PlayStation will be assumedly the largest audience. And if it's just these remakes, then it's kind of like we're leaving the originals in the past, and I just don't think that's acceptable at all. This then begins to beg the question of why they are potentially not bringing the Master Chief Collection over. I understand that there is a lot more profit to be made selling each game at a full $70 price over the years and releasing them that way. Definitely more money to be made sitting on the table there, but I also feel like the Master Chief Collection coming to PlayStation 5 would be a massive seller on its own, and these remakes would still sell very well. We're talking you could not touch the Master Chief Collection or update it in any way, port it to PlayStation 5, charge $70, $80 and sell 10 million plus copies easily. And then you would also have the ability for that entire audience to experience the games as they were originally intended, the original multiplayer. You could bring over Infinite, you could make more money from the microtransactions on that game. Of course, that would potentially cause an issue for this multiplayer-only Halo that's likely to come alongside these remade campaigns. So I don't know if that could be an issue there where there's multiple online multiplayer Halos running at once, but we kind of already have that going on, and I don't think that's a good enough excuse to leave these classics behind and make it so that much of the audience that's experiencing Halo cannot play them in their original intended form. We need to have access to these titles. I think that it is unacceptable completely if these remakes come to the PlayStation and we never get the Master Chief Collection. Now, I guess if they want to go some other crazy route and release them as separate original games through the PlayStation Digital Store or something like that, okay, that's fine. I still think, why not just bring MCC over? It's such a perfect product at this point. It's something that everybody really loves and appreciates. It's a love letter to Halo in every way. It's so full of content, but we got to have these titles brought over to the PlayStation. This PlayStation audience cannot be a large future of the Halo fan base that will never know what the original games were like, what the original intentions were, the original art styles. This stuff is art. It's important. It matters. And while I am one of the most forgiving people on this remake project, we absolutely have to push for there to be access to the original version. Now, I know many of you who are Xbox fans or maybe just play PC feel like you have that already, but once again, the PlayStation audience is a dominant in the console space, and we are talking about tens of millions of copies of Halo being sold, introducing new fans, having fans want to experience and embrace all of these titles and catch up with the other fans that have been playing them for years. You know, whether it be the books, the shows, the comics, but most importantly, the games as they were originally presented. I don't know. I really would like to know what you guys think about why the Master Chief Collection is being held back from the PlayStation audience. Do you think it will ever come over? I really do think that the biggest argument is just like, oh, look, they can make a lot more money remaking these titles, but I really just don't feel that releasing the Master Chief Collection on the PlayStation Store would cannibalize these remake projects that much. If anything, it could excite new players to jump in and play these revitalized versions. I think they could have the best of both worlds. I think it needs to happen, and if they don't bring it over, then I am just kind of at a loss for words. The Master Chief Collection, I know it's 11 years old, but way too much work, way too much effort was gone into making that absolute ultimate Halo experience, and I don't think this third-party strategy and money-making is enough of a reason to withhold it from the PlayStation audience. You know, it could be really, really difficult to port, but we've seen it ported one title at a time to PC already. I think it's definitely possible. I don't think it's the hardest thing they've ever done, and I would hate to see them be stubborn about the legacy of such an important franchise by leaving it just to make more money. That's my final thoughts. I know we've seen a lot of feedback on the remake itself and what should be changed about it, what's wrong with it, what could be done better, but I don't feel like there's been a lot of conversation around how such a massive audience will be left behind from playing the original classics and how those need to be preserved and accessible for this remake to fully justify its existence. Guys, let me know if you thought that made any sense or if I'm just speaking nonsense, as it's plenty available on Xbox consoles consoles and PC already. I really do think there's a reason to bring it over, and I'm sure many of you on PlayStation would just love to have access to these games that you haven't had for so many years. It's just money on the table. It's good for the fans. It's good for the remake project. I really fail to see how selling the Master Chief Collection could not benefit players and the company alike. That's all I have for you today, guys. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate everything. Go ahead and leave a comment or a like if you would like to help me out, and let's get excited for more Halo as we make our way to Halo Campaign Evolved. Thanks, guys.